must pay homage to him.
Welcome back, y'all. Another episode with the Bourbon Boys, Beats, Bars, and Bourbon Podcast. Your boy Steezo. To the far right, the homie Beat Bulls, the homie Osei, and we got a special guest for y'all today, Washington, D.C.'s own co-founder of the museum where you can see we at right now, Greg Harrison, affectionately known as G Mogul. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? Appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
What's up,
man?
Chan? Definitely appreciate y'all, man, for real.
Yeah, man. Thanks for sitting down with us, bro.
Yeah, no problem.
Really appreciate that. So listen, this is off of Rhode Island Avenue right here in Northeast D.C., y'all. So something we wanted to continue to do is to highlight black business owners, black entrepreneurs that's making black history, right? What better month?
Because we still in Black History Month.
That's right. What better month than the month of February, right? So we doing that big, man. So Greg, just to get going, man, if you could start us off, just give us a background on the museum, origin behind the concept, and you know how it went from a vision to fruition.
Yeah. So, you know, like you said, my name is Greg Harrison. That's my actual government. Most people in the town, you know, they call me Lil Greg, Lil G, Lil Poncho, and now G Mogul. Prior to that, they used to call me Nouveau G. We'll get into that. You know what I mean? I was in the spirits industry for a while, for a short stint. You know, great culture to be in. Yes, but yeah, so the Museum DC was started by myself and my partner Muhammad Hill, who is by way of Northwest, Uptown, Washington, D.C., and I'm by way of Southeast. So you have two extremes,
Southeast,
right?
Okay.
So we mirror each other, but on two separate sides of towns, right? Okay. Kind of grew up the same way, you know, and everything. You know, came through the basketball ranks, right? And just had a lot of respect and honor in our neighborhood. So we're community guys first, right? We were working with Wale in Atlanta on the Ambition album. Yeah.
Hold up. In what capacity? What were y'all doing?
So we were on the management team, and Wale was our business partner with, we had a company called BOA, the Board of Administration. It was the house of, at that time, you know, I think Fat Trail was with us at that time.
Oh, Fat Trail?
Fat Trail? Yeah.
Okay. So now we know where G Mogul come from.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yep, we working with Fat Trail at that time, Tierra Thomas.
Okay.
Tierra
Thomas?
Wow. Yeah, yep, that wrote the Bad Record with Wale. I think that joint went like, yep. Congrats to Tierra. She's doing some amazing things in the music business. Of course, my other partner, Trey, was formerly of UCB, created that song "Sexy Ladies."
Oh, big record.
Yeah. Oh, if you at a HBCU,
rock your world.
no question. Yeah. So, you know, we had a very thorough. We also had signed Light Show at the time. I don't know if y'all familiar with Light Show. He was a local artist, you know. So we signed Light Show. We were just like really a cluster of creatives that were from Washington D.C. and then we called it an administration.
I love that.
We kind of got that from the Carter administration when Jay-Z was doing that Def Jam, right? We wanted to do that locally, right? And so we were on tour, and one of our destinations was D.C. Of course, we were coming home. And we came home, we wanted to stop at the Universal Madness, probably pick up some clothes, you know what I mean, just to represent, because we out on the road.
Madness?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay.
So for those of you, you know, listening, don't know who Universal Madness is, streetwear started in D.C. The DMV started streetwear. It didn't start nowhere else. And it's recorded. I think maybe Ty and Eddie could, you know, L and all of them is 78, 79, something like that.
Ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
This is my brother. Early on, he put me onto the urban wear, and I can vouch that it did start here. Are you familiar with Zubair?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Of course he knows Zubair.
Thank you, brother. Zubair set me free. And what year was that? What year was that?
This was like
Let's be clear what year.
96.
Let's be clear. 95, 96, my brother, Steezo, put me on with urban wear from DC, Zubair. The shit was so fly, so funky. So if we recounting years, I'm going to just let everybody know B Bulls from Baltimore was wearing that shit in 9-5. I'm sorry, Greg.
Yeah, nah, no question. Hey, I like you to put the stamp on that thing. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'll say this too. You know, compliments and kudos to you guys. And we don't get enough credit for that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Real men, you know, dressing as such, look nice. You know what I'm saying? Good handsomeness up here. That's what we do.
That mean a lot coming from a fashionable guy.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, listen, and you got literally 3 different styles up here. You know, and we all complement each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
so yeah, man, you know, it's on record that Universal Madness is the first streetwear brand, you know, and existed,
Knowledge.
you know. And so when we came home, we saw that it wasn't on Georgia Avenue anymore, right? We didn't see,
Yes, it did.
we didn't see any of our DC design, you know, brick and mortars still here. And growing up in the 90s in DC, we had at least 15 or 20. And in Baltimore, I can remember there was streetwear designers
Yes, it was.
in both
Absolutely.
in both sides,
Yes,
right?
no doubt about it.
And
No doubt.
down to zero. We didn't see any in the city, right? And so my partner Mo and I, we were thinking, we like, man, listen, we can't let this happen. Gentrification is happening very prevalent. And there's nothing wrong with gentrification if it's inclusivity, right? And so you're not just going to come into our town, which was at once Chocolate City.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
It is still is chocolate.
Leadership is black.
Yes.
You know, our teachers is black.
Yes.
Everybody's, you know, African American. I think we was like 90-something%, right? You can't come into a place like this and then develop without having some inclusivity.
That's right.
And you know what? Look, not to cut you, but I noticed that about DC. There's a lot of pride in DC when it comes to that gentrification piece. Everybody that I know from DC, they don't take that lightly, bro. Like even like the wharf and the waterfront over there.
Oh, yeah.
A good buddy of mine was like, "No, this is our shit right here."
Yeah.
And they came in and like kind of usurped our shit.
Yeah.
So that pride is prevalent in this city. But speak on.
I'm a piggyback. They were upset that you guys were playing go-go
Over there on Florida.
100%.
on Florida.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to rock it harder because you're not going to move us out of here.
Yeah.
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
I'm familiar. My guy introduced
no
me
doubt.
to go-go early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was pots and pans until I saw the ladies dancing to it. Until I felt like, holy shit, this is a whole new movement.
Yeah.
Pretty ladies moving to it.
A lot,
Okay, I like
of,
this.
lot of pride in the city.
Nah,
of
definitely,
pride.
man. Shout out to Ron Moulton and Tone P. You know, you know the whole Don't Mute DC.
Yes, sir.
They
Tone
stand
P a
strong.
nice producer,
yes,
too, on
Tone
the
Tone
low.
P like
Ain't
that.
even
Tone
on
P.
the low.
Tone P was with BOA. We had signed Tone P. We managed him.
Okay.
Holy shit, we learning some shit about music.
Oh yeah. Nah, man. We was putting our lick down in the music business at a time where, you know, it wasn't streaming yet, right?
Okay.
At a time where people were just trying to figure out what direction black music was going in.
Okay.
And I think Wale doesn't get enough credit for what I believe is being a trailblazer in hip hop. Because at that time, you know, quote unquote backpack rappers wasn't it. You know what I'm saying? That was a whole genre and culture of
Shit,
music.
it's
And now you
right.
have your
Right.
Kendrick Lamar's,
It's funny you say
your J.
that.
Cole's,
We
your
gonna
Big
get into
Sean's,
that
everybody
backpack
else.
later.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, for those people that know a lot of the backpack rappers, they call them backpack. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of them artists, they thorough too. They
Absolutely.
mad.
Absolutely.
They mad.
Absolutely.
Some of them honorable. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Not all of
Absolutely.
them, but, you know.
Well, look, that's a man. Don't get us going on that.
Yeah.
That's an issue we have within, and I always speak about this. That's an issue we have within our culture, where if you ain't a gangster, if you ain't a killer, if you ain't a dope boy,
Right.
then somehow you're a backpacker.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Discredited.
You discredited. You
Discredited.
somehow weak now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's
Soft.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you came back from doing your stint
Yep.
from the music perspective, got back to the city, noticed that Universal Madness was no longer on Georgia Avenue.
Yep.
Around what time would you say
This was 2015.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And we had just put the Bad record out. I think the record went like double platinum or something
Holy
like that
shit.
in 2014.
Holy
Got re-re
And we had some things happen to us in the music business. You know, before we understood what fraud was and things. And then you gotta understand, like, we coming from DC, which was held murder capital, and then everybody know what Baltimore do, and then Richmond right down the street. So we come from a good line of strong men in these towns right here. This DMV area
for sure.
is very strong, and you know, we don't take too kind to people disrupting, you know, certain things we got going on.
Especially
and so
business.
We had a business manager who took from us, you know, and did some fraudulent things. So we went through our whole stint with that, and it put me personally in a state of depression because you felt like you were handicapped, you couldn't do nothing about it, you know, and you had to handle things in a civil manner. But when we went to court, they didn't understand. They didn't quite understand. We went to court in New York City. And the judge didn't quite understand what it was that we did to earn money.
Damn.
They like, you mean to tell me that artists and celebrities pay you guys to basically curate a space for them, to make them cool, to make them connect. He couldn't understand it. He didn't understand how Muhammad was dressing artists. You know what I mean? He was like, so you mean to tell me that someone pays you to put clothes on them?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's part of the culture.
He couldn't. He was just like, you know, whatever happened to a good old American dollar being made is what he said to us. Mind you, he was on his way to retiring.
I'm about to say 70.
He was on his way to retiring, but he said something very important, and I told my partners. Day one, he said, nobody's gonna like how I rule on this, so I think you all should get together in my chambers and figure it out.
Holy shit. Figure that shit out like men.
So what was the outcome of that?
The outcome was we ended up getting our name back.
Okay.
We would have had to go to court again to find the person criminal to get our money. And at that time, we was exhausted. You know what I mean? We exhausted a lot of money.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't even went into a savings I had for my brother when he came home. It was a lot that was going on.
Man, you just went deep right there.
Yeah, and so it was a lot, man. We had family pulling together, you know, a lot. And so out of this is one of the most prevalent moments in my life. This is what happened. I had an epiphany, right? And I'm always a deep thinker, right? I believe in astrology. I believe cancers, you know, we have that. And we got the ability of telepathy. I truly believe that. Wow. Like, I've been around my homies and basically said, man, the fucking car gonna crash down the street. And the shit happened. It might not happen in the day, but it happened the next day.
Oh,
Yes.
we believe in it. We believe in it.
Exactly. And you got to be careful what you profess out your tongue, man.
Yeah. We are
For
God.
sure.
We are gods.
Yes.
What we speak from the tongue comes to existence.
Yes.
We are gods. And once we understand that power, we become elite.
For sure. For sure. I mean, any and everything that I ever said that I'm going to do or I want, it happens. So I believe in the law of attraction. I completely believe in it.
That's how we got here today, G.
That's why we right here with you right now.
2 weeks ago.
No question.
I'm wearing museum shit. Week after episode, motherfuckers like, you be wearing that shit? I said, yeah, I wear it. Why you wear it? I said, well, number one, because I love it. From a cultural standpoint, it's a staple. It's something about them that they felt. Him and Muhammad. G and Muhammad did something that nobody else stepped up to do. They wanted to solidify our existence as brick and mortar streetwear.
God body.
Fashion.
God body. That was all energy.
So let me ask you this.
That was all energy.
How did you transition from that experience in the music industry, which sounds like man, this is a tough experience
Took a
right here
loss.
we had to
Took a
go
loss.
to. Took that L somewhat, you know. We call them losses, but like we talked about earlier, they all wins because you learn it, right? How did y'all go from that to transitioning back to the clothing?
So we truly believe in no mistakes. And that my dad always said this, that you just have favorable or unfavorable experiences. And so we licked our wounds, you know what I mean, cried, fought, you know, and we decided, I mean, we winners. We've been winning our whole life. So just to give some context to this thing, like, I never lost in my life.
That's real, ain't it?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Boys and Girls Club, you know, 85 pound, nobody scored, 2 teams scored first down on us. And nobody scoring us. Right. You know what I mean?
Since you was kid.
Since I was kid,
man, that's a real statement, bro. Like I didn't mean to cut you off. The winning piece is something you got to train yourself to be used to. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think you're a winner in your brain, you're gonna only seek success. But if you used to losses, you know you're not necessarily gonna come back from that.
Success, regardless if it's mud or not.
Exactly.
I'm going through the mud, I'm going through the forest, I'm going through the darkness because I'm focused on the outcome, success. Early winning usually breeds long-term success visions.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Steve, what's the term? Practice
makes permanent.
Makes permanent.
Yeah.
Right? Not
No
perfect,
question.
but it makes permanent.
No question. And I like that because some people would take out of context me saying I never lost to having a 0 or 1 in the column in the loss column. Right? But just like you just said, you know, it's not about perfection. You know what I mean? It's about purpose. And so for me, you know, I don't chase paper. This is what one of our things we say in our nonprofit. We chase purpose, not paper. You know what I mean?
You're gonna always
drop
win
the jewel.
You're gonna
Drop the
always
jewel.
win.
I'm
You're
trying
gonna
to tell
always
you.
win with those kind of
You
thoughts,
always
man.
win. I never lose. I'm gonna always win. And you know, the way we were able to pivot, it just showed, you know, our support system. Because I mean, that was a trying time for us, where we could have we felt like, man, damn, we might as well hit the streets.
Right.
Like it was a lot of contemplating around that time.
deep.
You know what I mean? On what we were gonna do. Because you start looking at certain things, you're looking at your peers, and you're like, damn, this is what we were supposed to be in the music business. You know what I'm saying? And that didn't happen.
Bro,
Right.
you just said there was a second when we thought about it's time to hit the streets.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because you know, after a while, you gotta look at it like this. When you've been successful so young, right? And then your families or who they are, man, Mo come from great families. We come from great men that's well respected and honored in this town because they gave respect and they gave honor to other men and women. And so we don't come from those families where it's like, you know, man, we don't like them over there because of this. If you don't like us, it's because you have a problem. We've never presented a problem to nobody. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's such thing as hate, right? But like Kenny Burns say, hate is the new love.
It's called
Hate is the new
unconditional
love.
love.
Hate is the
I don't
new
know how to
love.
love you the right way, so I'm gonna love you through a little bit of hate.
Exactly.
So can I jump
Already.
into my question?
Yeah.
Coming from DC, the home to me of the urban wear, and I'm from Baltimore, and I can adjust to this. I can attest to this. How do you perceive or look at competition? You know, I remember all days with Kurt Bone and them, shooters,
Yeah, with Rob.
madness. I remember all these designers and
Players, we're all that.
all that in a time and in an era. Do you look at it as competition? Do you look at it as I learned from them, I picked up from them, I moved on from them, and now I'm gaining from them? Like, how do you look at it? What's your view on that?
Well, I grew up under all of them, you know, and Muhammad did too. And so my dad was really close, you know, to Rob, and, you know, my uncles were close to Eddie and Ty and them, and my great uncles, you know, and then and Mo, that's his peoples too. So like Kurt Bone helped raise up. Like we really come from that fabric,
From that
like
cloth.
for real. And we did our duty. Like, you know, that's why when we came out, it wasn't too much hate because the forefathers in this thing
They was from the
already
cloth.
had
They
their
was
arm
cloth.
around it.
They had.
And we didn't come in arrogant.
Ooh!
They've been knowing that since we was kids.
Yeah.
They know how we good men.
Yeah.
And so we didn't come in their house without wiping our feet on the rug first.
Holy
We
shit.
respected it first.
Word.
And so what we did was when we had an opportunity to shed light on them, and we can't forget DeMarco Solar, my uncle Dirk Pumpkin. You know, he was at the forefront of a lot of different brands here. You know, he passed. He's no longer with us. He passed away like 2 years. What was it, last year or 2 years ago? But I'll say
Rest in
this.
peace, man.
No, thank you. I'll say this. You know, we did a Fila collaboration.
Oh shit! Let's talk about it.
Talk about the Fila piece.
Because I dug
Yeah.
into y'all
Yeah.
shit, and I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
These mofos is with Fila. Y'all
Man.
with Wale, like, goddamn, man, what the hell you ain't into?
So this is the thing with Fila. We grew up seeing the street guys in our community. You know, Gucci's on. You know what I mean? Fila, Sergio Tacchini. We seen that, and there's a store in Georgetown called Prince and Princess.
Oh yeah.
I talked
Shut-
about that. So real quick segue. Hold up. I talked about that when we did the episode with Larry Blinken, Cinderella. I talked about, hey, look, we had this whole debate,
Yeah.
debate.
about New Balance and who was doing it
It
first.
was shut down after that.
Larry said
Yeah.
DC was doing the New
DC
Balance.
was DC's
He did.
down.
He did.
He didn't know about
Yeah.
Prince and Princess, but he was talking about Snyder's and other shit.
Yeah, exactly. Spot, yeah, all
Right.
that.
But Prince and Princess, go ahead. That's
Yeah, so
Yo, Clarence, shout out. I made a promise to shout out Clarence. Just old school shit right here. OG gangster that understand what we do and how we do as far as the drip, the whatever I call it, the gear. I'm sorry.
but yeah, so we ended up you know, getting a deal with Fila to do a collaboration.
You just stumbled on Fila.
And we chose. I mean, we didn't stumble on it. So I'll tell you where it first started. I got a friend in New York named Giuseppe Rodriguez. We call him Juice. Now it's a unique situation because him and his brothers are like the GOATs when it come to, and they all Hispanic.
Okay.
They're they're in New York City and they're the GOATs when it comes to like fashion marketing for some of the apparel brands that we all revere. That we all love. Adidas, Puma, and then his other younger brother is like an influencer. He influences the influencers, right?
Oh, shit.
And so I ended up hitting Juice, and I told him what the vision was like 5 or 6 years ago, and he had a guy that was the president of Fila at the time. And we were talking and everything and trying to get something done, and he ended up leaving Fila.
Okay.
And so we didn't have a connect with him any longer, right? And then one of our peoples was cool with somebody that does sales over there. And they came and just saw the store. They've been hearing about the brand and everything.
They just dropped in this motherfucker.
Yeah. And of course they heard about the brand. Right. And they wanted to come in and see it for themselves.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Was that due to your networks, or was that due to more so the persistence in you beating on the door to make sure that museum reached another level of excellence?
I think it's both. I think you can't have one without the other when you're getting strategic placements or partnerships like that.
Partnerships.
Right. And so we chose that platform, that big platform. This is our first collaboration.
Yeah.
We chose that to share with the forefathers of streetwear here.
Yeah, man.
They had a whole campaign.
Yeah.
We did Vusi from Mukunu. We had John from Hobo. We had Kenny Westray from We Are One.
Okay.
We had Ty and Eddie from The Madness. We had DeMarco Solar, Derek. We had Kurt Bone All Days, and we had shooters from Shooter Rob in our campaign.
Where does that come from? Like bringing those guys in, like from your childhood? Does it come from your growing up and wanting to bring people and bring the village in? Or because I noticed you guys also bring interns in.
Yeah.
You help young designers. Yeah. Like, where does that aspect of what you guys do come from?
That's an ecosystem that we learned from, our uncles and fathers and parents and everything from a street level and just from a family level. Right. And then it's something that was reiterated to me when I worked in New York. Because I would see,
DC in New York?
Yeah, we was in New York tearing it up.
Hey, look.
We was tearing it up in New York. It's a lot of us that's in the industry and people just don't know. A lot of people from Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I have on right now, Gorilla RX. This is a family-owned cannabis company. I'm talking about they doing it. It's all women. From the elder on down.
Shout them out, man.
It's so
I gotta shout y'all out.
Man, listen.
And listen, and they in Crenshaw. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Wow.
They in the thick of it.
What?
You hear me?
Damn.
And they in ownership. They own their buildings and all that. You know
That's
what I mean?
what's up. Total empowerment.
Yeah, and guess what? They hired the COO or the GM of that company is from Baltimore.
Oh wow!
It's another female.
Whoa! What's her name?
I forgot her name because I had just met them last week.
But the energy was
Okay.
good.
The energy was great, and she's from Baltimore. And the thing is, like I always tell people, man, even when I was working in New York, DC and Baltimore, we was tearing it up in the industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People don't know that in the fashion industry, in the music industry, we got to see. The reason why y'all probably don't know this is because they're not filling the role of the person out in the forefront like the artist.
In front of the camera.
But,
In front of the camera.
But we managing. We doing security for a lot of these guys.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I mean,
a lot of executives. Shout out my man Kevin Lyles, Baltimore, top
Yeah.
executive in the music industry,
question.
black executive.
Shout out Spoon. Man, you heard Drake. I should have Spoon serve you up with a fork and knife for me.
That's DC. That's DC.
I mean, we have our imprint, in the business.
Everywhere.
We got our hands in the
Everywhere.
business. And it's been like that for a long time.
We immersed in the music culture. We immersed in the fashion culture. This is what we've always been. Like, I think back to like my older OGs, man. Shout out my cousin Big Joe, man. Love that dude, man. I'm talking about down Georgetown when I didn't know what was going on. He shopping at Tom Taylor, having seamstresses do different shit. Like, no, I want my shit to fit me like this.
Damn.
He knew early, I don't want nothing off the rack. I wanted to fit me. Even that individuality in his own sense of fashion set things off for me. It put things in motion about, oh shit, when I walk outside, I want everybody that's seeing me to see me and how I perceive myself. Right? That's powerful, man. Tom Taylor shit and all these little silk shirts and short sleeve button-ups and short sets, and even with Banana Republic. I seriously feel like Banana Republic would never be as big as it is if it wasn't the way that DC put them on. We put Banana Republic on like you never believed.
Steve, I'm mad Benetton is gone.
Right now, Benetton is crazy in Georgetown.
Let me ask you this. So, just your inspiration as a designer, right? Did you get majority of your inspiration from what you saw on the street growing up, from what you saw in the rap industry, from what you saw other clothing designers do? Where did the majority of your inspiration come from?
My mom, my dad. My father was. He was known for wearing wild shit. Like I gotta tell you this story right here, right?
You just hit a funny bone just now, bro. But go, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like man, you know, my mom was super fly, light skin, freckles. You know what I mean? And she wore like the cute preppy kind of clothes, right? Cool, casual clothes. My father was more of, you know, all the tailor suits. You know what I'm saying? He gonna put Crocs on and all that, right? But he always had, like, he might have on, you know, some red corduroy pants and some Gucci sneakers and a
what?
You know what I'm saying? It just might be,
motherfucker, man.
It might be that. And so I saw that, right? And they used to push me to the limit. I can remember this. I cried, man, because my father, my mother put me on some Crocs. It was cowboy boots.
Yes, sir.
And this was back in.
And you
and I was going to the skating ring.
How fly the fuck you was.
Because I'm going to the skating ring. My friends got on Jordans.
Right.
They putting these Jones on me. And I'm like, he like, Shaw, put these Jones on me. Yeah. And I'm like, man, come on. You
wanna be like everybody else?
Yeah, I want to put my Jordans on. He like, you gonna do this? And I mean, you ain't like everybody else. This is what we doing.
That's right.
And the girls, they was
over your shit.
But you know, your men know they gonna get you.
100%.
They fried me all night. But the thing was, I see these people doing it now.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
But that's
like
not even that night. You saw something about you, like, hold up, though.
It was different. Yeah. And that after that moment, I knew that, like, hey, don't be afraid to be who you are.
Different.
Don't be
Push
afraid.
boundaries. And people used to laugh at me because I used to wear some outlandish stuff. And now I'm like kind of all the way toned down because I only really wear our stuff. You know what I'm saying? But back then, it wasn't cool to dress how I was dressing, but now everybody doing it. You know what I'm saying?
But let me ask you, that's a good segue for this question. So we know that, at least the perception of people from this area, that museum is synonymous with streetwear, DC urban wear, right? That's the perception, which is a compliment, right? Yeah. Like you said, that's your roots. That's the cloth you come from. Well, how was it? You know, you guys, for me, on the outside looking in, this is bigger than that, right? The clothing brand is just one element. It's one component of what y'all doing. Right. But what type of apprehension and reservations did you guys have about your expansion? We talked about one collab with Fila, but you got multiple collabs. Yeah. Like how did you perceive, okay, we're going to go beyond how well we're doing here to expanding and doing these other collabs? Was that always a part of the plan? Or was it just the lightning in the bottle? Everything we do is calculated. We didn't come into this without a strategy. We had a strategy, you know, and we're going to introduce all of our categories through collaboration. So we're just not going to create a sneaker for you without first baiting you in by doing a collaboration with another sneaker company. So that's how you get the validity. Leveraging it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so when we even started, you know, shout out to James Whitner, you know, from Armand Manier and Social Status and everything. Mo was down there helping to open up that Atlanta store, the first Armand Manier store, you know, and I was down there around the construction time and things of that nature, right? We actually sold BBC. We sold Epitome. We had different brands in here to kind of bait everybody in before we did our own inline. Right. Oh, wow. And so how we started our own inline was that we baited you in by putting out hats first. So we had 144 hats. We chose 44 influencers to give hats to. So everybody from the doorman at the clubs here, security,
You know, it can be a janitor, even some homeless people that's popular in the town. And we gave them a hat.
That's genius.
Yeah, and that's our business. That's our business card.
Ingenious.
And so with a lot of and this is a word to the wise to a lot of young designers and just young businessmen in general,